All right, today we're diving into a real head-scratcher. It's a climate paradox that kind of challenges everything we think we know about green energy, and we're going to unpack it using a really fascinating academic study. So, let's get into it.
So here's the puzzle, right up front. The country of Turkey has been on an absolute tear, building out its renewable energy. We're talking solar, wind, the whole shebang. But at the exact same time, its overall climate performance rating is stuck at the bottom. So you've got more green energy, but the results just aren't there. How does that even possible?
So that's the big question, right? What is really going on? This is one of those things that makes you question a basic assumption, that just building more renewables automatically equals climate progress. To find the answer, we've got to look a lot deeper.
Okay, so to get to the bottom of this, we're going to need the right tool for the job. And the researchers behind this analysis used a really specific framework to uncover what was happening behind the scenes. Let's take a look.
This is it, the Climate Change Performance Index, or CCPI. Now, this is not your average ranking that just looks at, total emissions. No, it's a much more sophisticated tool that digs into a country's climate action from 4 totally different angles. And this is what makes it so smart. You can see here how it breaks things down. Sure, greenhouse gas emissions are the biggest piece of the pie, at 40%. But look at the other parts: renewable energy, overall energy use, and, this is the really important one, a country's actual climate policy. Each of those gets a solid 20% weight. It's this balanced view that gives us the real story.
So here's the bottom line. The CCPI doesn't just give a country a passing or failing grade. It tells you why. Think of it less like a report card and more like a doctor's diagnostic tool. It's designed to find exactly the kind of weird inconsistency we're looking at today, to expose where a country's strategy might be broken.
Okay, so we've got our tool. Now it's time to play detective. Let's start unpacking Turkey's actual scores and see what clues they give us.
And just so you know, all of this comes from this serious, peer-reviewed study. These researchers tracked Turkey's performance over almost a decade. So what we're looking at is based on solid evidence. Now, let's see what they actually found.
So let's start with the good news, which ironically is what makes this whole thing so confusing. When it comes to renewable energy, Turkey is a rock star. For years, it's been ranked in the high performance group. A total success story, right? Well, but then you see this. And wow, this chart just lays the whole problem bare. I mean, look at that difference. The renewable energy bar is shooting for the moon, but the other 3, emissions, energy use, and especially climate policy, are just stuck on the ground. It's a totally fractured picture. So, what's dragging those scores down? Well, when you zoom in on the weak links, it becomes pretty obvious. Climate policy, it's consistently rated very low. The country's targets for cutting emissions, they're just not strong enough to meet the Paris Agreement goals. And on top of that, energy use per person is high, and there's not much progress on efficiency. These are some major red flags.
So we have all this evidence, right? Strong renewables, weak everything else. Now it's time to connect the dots and expose the root cause that the researchers uncovered.
This one sentence from the study, it just says it all. The problem isn't a lack of money or the technology to build renewables. The problem is a lack of a coherent, credible government policy that makes all the pieces work together. The researchers call it a governance gap.
And this shows you exactly how that governance gap creates the paradox. It's like a domino effect. First, you have weak climate policies and targets. Because of that, nothing really happens to lower overall energy demand, so it just keeps climbing. And what happens then? All that amazing new renewable energy just gets swallowed up by that growing demand, pretty much canceling out all the benefits.
To put it another way, the new green energy isn't replacing the old dirty stuff like coal and gas, it's just being piled on top of it. So you're basically hitting the gas on renewables with one foot while slamming the brakes on efficiency and policy with the other. And that just leads to going nowhere.
So look, this is way more than just a story about one country's climate plan. It holds a really powerful and, frankly, pretty urgent lesson for the rest of the world. Just let this one sink in for a second. The study found that fragmented progress, doing great in one area but totally failing in others, is basically a recipe for failure. You can have the best green tech in the world, but if your policies don't all pull in the same direction, it's not going to work.
And that is the huge takeaway here.
For any country, but especially for growing economies, just throwing money at green technology is not a silver bullet. It's just not enough. You have to have a complete strategy with strong, believable policies that actually drive down energy demand and make sure that renewables are truly replacing fossil fuels.
So we'll leave you with this question to think about. This one analysis exposed a huge, hidden flaw in one country's approach. And it really makes you wonder, how many other climate plans out there, plans that look amazing on paper, are hiding this exact same problem?